All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. Attendance. We have John Pasqua in attendance, present. Erin?
Here. Jen Ludwig here. Yep.
Here. Craig Pinardo here. We need to vote for approval of minutes on January 12th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second. Excellent. Thank you. Moving into new. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. For new business, we'd like to, we have a few things on the agenda. Would the participant on Zoom be kind enough just to introduce himself and to identify who he is? Thank you.
Hello, how are you? Nice to
Hi,
see you today. Yeah, good evening. So I'm Mark Waleriziak. I head up the card programs at Giverang, and we do community gift card programs.
Excellent, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Would you like to get right into your overview or your presentation?
Yeah, please, if I can. Let's see here. I have a slide deck that I'd like to walk you through.
Please, thank you.
Oh, I think the sharing may have to be enabled by the host.
Here we go.
Try. There we go. Give me 1 minute here. Let me know if you start seeing section here.
Yep.
You see it?
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
I'll head into full screen mode here. Alrighty then, does it look okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right, great. So, as mentioned, I head up the card programs at Giverang. So we're a startup based out of Bristol, Connecticut, so not too far away from where you are. In fact, I went to school back in the day at Roger Williams, so I'm excited to see the 401 number and all the signatures. So yeah, we do community gift card programs, as mentioned. Our cards are MasterCard branded programs. So they're very easy for any merchant who accepts credit cards to be able to accept. So just a statement on like use cases. Of course, we handle a number of different use cases. The most popular being place-based community gift cards, which is what we're here to talk about today for Coventry. But we also support other versions in other different types of card programs. So, how do we do this? Basically, we would ask you a series of questions on how, the first being, how would you like to restrain the card acceptance? So there's a few different options with this. The first option you see here is what we call the curated list approach. And that would be if you had a specific defined list of merchants that you only wanted the card to be able to be spent at. So that list can be really any number. It could be 25, 50, 100 or more. If you had a specific list and you just gave it to us, we have technology in the back end that is able to identify those merchants and add them to the accept list so that the card can only be spent at those merchants and nowhere else. The second option for card acceptance is to constrain it by the city or town limits so that every single business within your city limits would be able to accept the card and no other towns outside of those bounds would be able to accept it. And then the third option would be an extension of the second, would be city limits with exceptions. So for instance, if there are some certain categories of merchants that you wouldn't want to accept the card for whatever reason, maybe it's liquor stores, or maybe there's some unsavory business type or specific businesses that you don't want people to be spending back at, you just let us know who those are and we can cross them out based on merchant category codes and other identifying factors. The second question.
Mark, could you just pause for 1 second? We just have another member
Sure.
joining us, and Doug, you can come right up.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know. It's
Thank you. I just don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, buddy. We just started our first slide of a gift card merchant program. Mark, thank you very much.
No problem. Should I pick it up?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So then the second question that you'd have to answer in terms of designing your program would be what card type that you would like for your program. So there's a few different flavors for this. The first here is an e-gift card option, and it's a lot like what it sounds like. We'd be able to electronically send through email e-gift cards to the recipient, and those are just instant. The e-gift card design is fully customizable to the look and feel of, however the city would like it to look. So then you can do an e-gift card program. If you like, you can also do just a plastic program, plastic, typical mag stripe card. The design looks very much like this, except, we can customize for your town name here on the line. I'll show you in a second, but we'll provide you like a program webpage where people who are either citizens or visitors to your town can order or purchase these cards online. And, we'll ship it to whoever is the recipient in 7 to 10 days. So we'll handle all the fulfillment of the card orders, both in person and virtual. So then you can choose to do an e-gift only program. You can do a plastic only program, or you can choose to do both. So we provide that option as well. Oops, there we go. So then here's some things that you get for free for standing up a program with us. So as mentioned, we do provide what we call a program webpage for you. And this is a way for you to market your program to citizens or visitors. This is fully customizable to the look and feel of the city branding, or whether it should be a unique program designed specifically for your community gift card. So then you can change the look and feel of this. And then as you'll notice, like there's this, it's probably kind of small on your screens, but you'll notice there's buy now buttons that will be throughout the page that people can click, and they can purchase and select to pick that e-gift or plastic card option to send to whoever the gift recipient would be. And then there's other areas that kind of high level the importance of spending locally, with some statistics around that, and also an area where you can feature merchants who accept the card in the program, and based on whatever criteria that is appropriate. It doesn't necessarily have to be all merchants who accept the card. It could just be a certain selection that you want to drive, interest to. Perhaps it's, some of the hardest hit industries like restaurant and hospitality industries. It's very flexible in terms of how you want to do that, and it's up to you. So a couple extra things to mention is that we do provide design support. So if you wanted to design a unique community gift card logo for your program, we can help you with that. And likewise, we can also help design an e-gift card design. We also provide data, which is really important. So monthly, we'll provide you a spreadsheet style report. That'll detail everything that's happening in the program for the previous month, and also all-time statistics on how the health of the program is overall. So for instance, you'll be able to see detailed transaction history. So it'll be everything from card purchases and the load on each card to what the amounts were, all the way down to where the cards are being spent and what amounts. And then also just all-time statistics in terms of how many cards were, distributed or spent or purchased all time, and how much credit is still outstanding in circulation waiting to be spent back at the local businesses. So we do provide that report so that you can show your stakeholders, not only in town but also the merchants and your citizens, and show them what the impacts are at the local economic level. We provide full customer support, so not only program support directly to the town or whoever happens to be the coordinator of the program, but also full card and technical support. So that is just something that would always be deferred to us in case there are questions around that. We have support emails, toll-free numbers. All the cards have that information on it. So it's really sort of a hands-off support process for the town. In materials, we provide some best practices, things like a press release template for when you're about to launch, all the way to like a FAQ that will answer a merchant and consumer questions should they ever come across your table. Here's a couple reasons why consumers love the program. Obviously, there's a purpose behind it. We want to help keep more dollars local, and these cards guarantee that they stay within your community. There's an opportunity to support specific businesses or people or neighbors that, that citizens want to support. And ultimately, one of the really important factors and problems that we're trying to solve for is to really make shopping local more convenient, because it can be a bit sort of inconvenient or confusing to know exactly what are the best local places, or I don't feel like driving into town to spend or find like a gift for somebody. So that what happens is people will kind of fall back into these familiar habits of, well, I'll just buy an Amazon gift card or something like that. But that's no good, because then that leaks that money from your community. And so from our perspective, a community gift card provides this really convenient, simple solution that rolls in all these different local business gift cards into one convenient package. And then a couple of reasons why businesses love it. Certainly there's a footfall factor to this. As people receive these gift cards, whether it's by just being, a gift from somebody else, or whether it's a subsidy from the city, just handing them out for free. Naturally people will want to know where they can spend these cards. And as they look and are familiar with who's, approved to accept the cards in the program, there's a marketing exposure factor for the business. They get that, they get that rub from that. And then from there, the great thing is the card holder will be looking to spend the money. That's when the local businesses will benefit from the direct spend from the card and convert that sale. And then ultimately part of our mission is to really, drive people into and cross-pollinating these local businesses, and ultimately give the local business owners the opportunity to then really impress and delight the customer, to then drive that repeat and loyalty business, hopefully for weeks and months and years to come. Just a couple notes on how things work behind the scenes. The onboarding process, as mentioned, is very, very simple. It's very hands-off. We call it automatic onboarding for a reason. You just tell us who should or should not accept the card, and we make it work. So you don't have to run around town and download some strange software into people's point of sale systems or into merchant point of sale systems. You don't have to have merchants downloading some, app or anything like that. Just let us know who should and shouldn't accept it, and we'll make it happen. From a funds flow perspective, how that works is as cards are purchased or subsidized, the value of the card funds are stored in a settlement account, and it's from that settlement account that MasterCard then draws from to pay out the merchants as the merchants accept the cards, if you can follow that thread. And then the final thing I'll mention here, this last bullet on MasterCard settlement, is just to say that there's no need for, creating your own, clearinghouse or reconciliation system. All of this is conveniently handled by the MasterCard network. Every local business that accepts credit cards, or any business that accepts credit cards, period, they're already working with a merchant payment processor, and they already have their own terms for accepting credit cards. And from their perspective, it is seamless. It works exactly the same under the same terms that they're already operating under. So as they accept these community gift cards, there's no difference to them than if they accepted one of these cards than if anybody else came through with a normal debit or credit card. So a couple notes on costs. So for the program costs, there's no setup cost to the town. There's no additional cost to merchants. They pay exactly whatever the small percentage of that they already paid their payment processor for accepting the cards. What we do charge, though, is a card purchase fee, which is basically a rolled processing and activation fee that's combined. And you'll see here the amount is $1 plus 4% of each gift card sold. And so as somebody purchases a card, say online through that channel I mentioned, then if they bought a $50 card, e-gift card, it would cost an extra like $3. And then if they if you had plastic card as an option for your program, it would cost an additional $3 on top of that. And that's to cover the shipping of the card and also the on-demand manufacture of the card as well. And there's opportunities to also drive these costs down depending on if the town wanted to purchase, a bulk order of cards, depending on what that volume is, we can talk about driving these costs down. And then as far as launch timelines, we can get you up and running easily and underneath the month, depending on how quickly, of course, the stream of communications is occurring, obviously on both ends. And just as far as distribution, I mentioned that online channel that we provide for you. One thing I failed to mention earlier is that we provide that web page option that the city can link to, but we also provide an option for an embeddable order form that if, like, for instance, like the city had its own directory of local businesses or something of that sort, we can embed a gift card order form directly into the city site. So, it's more convenient for people who are already kind of looking around for the program if there's information on your site already. And I won't get too weedsy on this retail partner section, but this is just to say that, like, if you wanted to do physical plastic cards and you wanted to distribute these cards in person, perhaps through like retail partners who may be interested in reselling the card, we can work those creative type of distribution arrangements with you. So just a quick example would be, for instance, if you had a local visitor center and they wanted to resell the cards, we can do an arrangement where basically, we will charge for the cost of the actual materials and the cost of the shipping. And then we'll provide an activation flow for you for the retailer to activate the cards in person. And then we can settle, later in the month for whatever those amounts that were activated were. And then now this is like getting to the meat and potatoes of how we initially got in touch with one another, is the opportunity to subsidize a program like this and really supercharge it. And there's a whole bunch of different options. I won't go through every single one of these. I'll just mention like a couple popular ones that may be worth considering. And then we can obviously, if there's any questions, I'm happy to talk about this after, after I wrap up here. But say like the most popular version is what's called a partial subsidy program. There's a couple types of this, but one would be like a typical, matching program. I'm sure you've heard of matching grants. So it's a similar idea. So for instance, like the town can promote the fact that like you're willing to do a match of gift card purchases up to a certain amount. So as citizens or visitors end up on, the order form, excuse me, there would be like a banner highlighting the fact that the city is generously sponsoring with whatever funds, whether it's ARPA or something else, a match up to a certain amount. So then as, somebody's willing to pay $25, the city puts in another 25, and then the citizen walks away with a $50 deal or a $50 card at a really, really great deal that, hopefully they'll tell their friends and family. That's one option. And then if you want to kind of go buck wild with it, there is a chance to fully subsidize cards. So then one example would be if you want to really do like a full out local stimulus program and you want to purchase a card of some denomination, say it's like $10 cards, and distribute it to all households in the community. That's certainly something that we can accommodate. So I want to provide you a couple, different options and on different sides of the spectrum. That's a little bit about the program subsidy here, and then we can circle back to that in a second. But I guess I'll leave you here with this final kind of factoid that I like to share, is that in the gift card industry, on average, card holders are spending more than 50% over the value on their card. So if they have a $50 card, they're usually spending $75 or more. So just by virtue of having a program exist, there are sort of built-in multiplier effects. And certainly if you provide something like a matching program, then the citizens are matching the investment from the town. And you drive your dollars even further. And then of course there's that long tail of establishing that connection between the business owners and the citizens who have the cards, and hoping to really stoke that relationship for a long time to come. So that's my spiel for today. I'm happy to answer any questions, and have a conversation.
Mark, it was a very, very good overview. One quick question on 2 slides previous, you discuss a $1 activation and a $3 card fee. If we were to push an e-card to consumers either via text and or email, would that $3 go away and it just be the dollar activation?
Yeah, there would be that $3 is just strictly for the plastic and shipping charge. So yeah, I mean, if you were interested in doing an e-gift only program, that fee would fall off. Yes.
Okay.
And just to be very
So
clear,
it was, I'm sorry, just to clarify, it's the $1 per card, even if it's electronic, plus 4% of the total cost.
yes, but there's one really important difference I'll just draw out here, is that this is when
It's redeemed.
This is when people purchase through the online form and pay by credit card. However, if the city wanted to pay through like check or ACH, we have a different fee structure where it would be half of this cost. Just to kind of, so it would be 50 cents plus 2%. If that was something that you're going to pay like outside of the online order form system.
I'm actually even more confused now. Sorry. Let's take.
Shouldn't have said that then.
Let's take one more example. No, because the way I understood this slide was it was $1 plus 4% for any gift card value, depending on how they got it. But I thought it was the person who is buying the card pays the $1 plus the 4%.
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
that's exactly right. So this is a base fee. Like as people purchase the cards through the online channel, because it's a credit card only, this is what it would cost.
Okay.
Plus
the $3 for a physical card.
Yes.
Correct.
So $56 would be a plastic card in this example.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Or just exactly $53 for a $50 card, and it's an e card that would ultimately get to the consumer by phone or email. Okay.
That's correct.
That's interesting, because if you were to go to, I'm just saying hypothetically, if you go to Walgreens right now and you buy like a Visa card for $50, you got to pay the $4.95 activation fee.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I do see this being more advantageous. Yeah. Now, if you were to send the card to someone electronically, assume the retailer, is just an ABC small business and they do accept MasterCard. How would they redeem that if they don't have the ability to scan a QR code? Or, there are some businesses that do accept tap pay. But let's just assume it's your small business with a secondary, or I should say tertiary type of credit card that requires a swipe versus even a chip, like some small businesses do. How would that work?
It's a great question. So, I'll just kind of draw you back here. So like the e-gift cards, it's basically like it's a picture. Imagine just a picture on a phone. It's not actually wallet enabled in Google or Apple Pay. Not yet. What would happen is it serves pretty much like a voucher. Now, people who have these, they can print them out if they wanted to, but like typically somebody's going to show up with their phone and then they'll have the virtual card number. So then the merchant would basically, they would ask them for that number, and then the merchant would key into their terminal exactly like they would like an exactly. So correct. Exactly like they would an over the phone order. They would treat it exactly the same way. So
how about for something like DoorDash, or if you wanted to order from a local restaurant, could you use the e-voucher that you're talking about now and type it in to like
No, unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, but like, no, that's not possible because DoorDash, they're processing it on their end. So like, they're taking a massive cut of it and they're processing on their end, and then they're paying out merchants. So unfortunately, like we can't, differentiate, like the money would be going through DoorDash instead of going directly to your local business. So from that perspective, they wouldn't be able to accept it because like DoorDash isn't local,
So just to go down on that one more level. So this would be for someone who has a good or service where they're, don't know the right way to say this, but their terminal is in, for example, the town of Coventry, like
Yes.
where they claim their, I don't know, business address is.
Yeah, and it doesn't, there's other ways, like if there was somebody who somehow like signed up for some mobile account in some other town and then they moved into your town, we can still identify them if we knew who they were. And we can add people independently into the program as well. But yeah, that's generally how it works. Like if you wanted to option for having every local business within your town limits accept the card, that works basically off of address of where the terminal is at that time.
Is there a way for the merchant or the service provider to check whether they show up within quote unquote city limits? Like if they're right on the border of another town, or, maybe they just moved here, like the example you just gave, or do we have to, type you an email that says, can you check if this is registered here within city limits?
Well, the merchant would probably know, they have like through their merchant processor, they know like where they're basically like, there's always an identifier that says like the name of the town that they're in, along with their merchant ID. So they would know whether or not they're within the town. Now we can certainly run a check against that. If there was any questions, if it was really close in like a border situation, we can always add people who are kind of on the fringe or even in another town if that was something of interest as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions if you don't mind.
No problem.
First is, are there other towns that you have already launched something like this with
Yeah,
In
that's a
Rhode
great.
on a town
Not-
level?
Not in Rhode Island. So to be like totally, completely transparent, so we're a startup company, and this is a new product for us. So we're actually going to launch next week. Now, what I can tell you is we are actually talking to one town in Rhode Island about doing the program. And we have more than a dozen programs that'll go live this year. And we're about to do a big launch in a bunch of towns in Connecticut as well. But unfortunately, I don't have, that sort of historic customer, history to be able to share with
Okay.
you, because it is a new product.
Understood. Two more questions. Sorry, as a follow-up.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any feedback in terms of like concerns from any local businesses where you are planning to launch this? Has there been any feedback at all, like, where maybe businesses wouldn't appreciate it or wouldn't want to see something like this?
I would say, just to kind of let you know, like in the past, we've done a few pilot programs with systems that were more difficult, I would say. And so we learned a lot through those processes. And this is why we have formed these partnerships with MasterCard to be able to offer something that's convenient enough to be accepted. I will say the one thing that we strongly encourage is, if you were going to do an e-gift program, to definitely let the merchant community be aware that this is something to expect in terms of a payment type or payment form, because there is, depending on what the merchant processor is and what the terms are with that individual business, there are processors out there who may charge up to an additional percentage point for accepting the e-gift option. And that's strictly because it's what they term card not present, because it's like a voucher. It's considered less secure, so to speak, and like it's sort of an anti-fraud measure. So then they may charge up to an extra percentage point. So we haven't directly heard from merchants that that's a non-starter, because most of them realize that the percentage point that they may lose, they can more than make up for it in terms of the exposure and the business driven through the program. However, that is, that could happen, where either a business says, well, I don't feel like paying another percentage point or 0.5% or whatever it is. That would, Yeah, or I guess there could be, if the local businesses aren't informed of the e-gift payment type, you could have a situation where somebody shows up with, basically the virtual card voucher on their phone. And then if it's like a new, if they're not informed, or it's there's staff turnover and they don't know how to, that they should be accepting these cards, it could cause a little bit of confusion if they don't have a heads up on that.
Okay, I lied. I actually have two more questions now. The next one is, either through your use cases or through your pilots, do you have any idea as to what the anticipated local revenue stream increase could be in towns?
Can you remind me what your population is?
We're about 40,000 now with all
40,000. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going to go with 37,000 because that was from the 2020 census.
Okay. Yeah, understood. So, I mean, typically I think for a town your size, like if people were just purchasing these themselves, you could see, I think from the experiences and the conversations that we've had, probably somewhere in the 60,000 plus range. There's a community about half the size in Connecticut, who had been doing volume in the 60,000 per year range, in terms of the volume of card purchases. So that is probably a fairly safe number, I would say, to expect somewhere in that range. And then certainly a lot is dependent on how well it may be promoted. Are people finding it? Do they know it exists? So if there is some sort of push, or the town wants to, put a little subsidy behind it, obviously you can raise those levels.
Okay. And my final question, thank you very much for taking all of my questions. My final question is, for some of the larger stores, like Stop and Shop, for instance, that's in town, would I be able to order my groceries online and use this card through Stop and Shop or Walmart, or use it online for businesses that are still in town?
Ooh, if you're ordering through like the general, like Walmart or Stop and Shop, that would probably not work.
Okay.
You would have to be more like at the in-person level, because it's taking the signatures of like where the point of sale systems are. And so if you're ordering through Stop and Shop online or Peapod or something like that, it'll most likely be assigned to the merchant account, the online merchant account that was set up based on the headquarters of where Stop and Shop is. So, I mean, if we were to enable that, you could have a situation where you have people who purchase these cards for your town, but then they're able to spend it at the general Stop and Shop online and buy groceries in some other town, and then you can have a leaky dollar effect there. So
Makes sense.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that would probably not work.
You want to keep the funds centralized. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mark,
the whole idea. Yep.
Mark, you had said it was very important to communicate this, which is, clearly important, so that someone's not walking in with something like that on their phone saying that they can use it at a small business. But with your relationship with MasterCard, do you have any way of providing businesses that we would, elect to use here within the zip code? Can you send a direct mailer to all merchants, all MasterCard merchants here in Coventry to notify them of the program to help us?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can imagine, contacting 400 or 500 businesses to make the, but with you have a MasterCard relationship, so they should know all of their merchant IDs within the zip code. Could you push something to them, whether it be to the user's email address, to the physical address, or?
Yeah, I mean, we can do something like that. Probably the way to do it would be, as you said, a mailer to them. If that's something that the city was interested in, sponsoring a mailer like that, we can make that happen for you if that's something you're interested in.
And then as far as sort of to play in what Aaron was saying, is there a reference of that city that you said has been doing well, or should we, parking lot until you get some of your other cities and towns live and implemented, and we kind of just fast track with you on your roll out all your alpha tests or beta tests? Or, I mean, are you at a market test right now? Or are you still in like beta?
No. We're ready to go live. So we went through,
Okay.
all of our testing. In fact, we did a lot of intense testing this week.
Okay.
We're set to do some launches in Connecticut next week. So, and then we're gonna, sort of mushroom out from there. But yeah, certainly like we can, as we get figures and things like that, we can, try to be transparent about obviously like what is happening and things like that. So.
Yeah, just so that we're not going down the same road as someone else, maybe just get a little live edge and be able to use maybe some best practices to incorporate into our plans to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our interest is to make sure that you succeed. So any bumps in the road that we encounter or really other communities are encountering, we'll make sure that to build that as part of our best practices so that we can share that with you. And then, we can avoid any potential, strangeness around that. And then, you kind of streamline it to be as successful as it possibly can be.
Okay.
Mark, I had a question about the settlement account and what would happen with the funds in there? Do they stay there indefinitely? If someone, for instance, loses a card and they don't look to claim it, they spent $50 on it, maybe spent 40 and there's $10 left. What happens with that money over time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, there's still an obligation to the cardholder. And I'm trying to, it depends on state too. There's some states where we do expire the cards after, say, 5 years is generally what would happen. But Rhode Island may be a state where it never expires, and in which case that just is, it's always an obligation. So that's not anything that we would touch.
And what type of an account is it? The settlement account? Is it just strictly a holding account, or is the money being pulled from that for investment purposes, or does it stay there?
No, it stays there. Yeah. So it stays in that one account.
Okay. John, any or
No, I think you guys can ask all
the questions. Okay,
Great.
excellent. All right, Mark, thank you very, very much. I think as we reconvene on this, if we have any other questions, I believe we have your contact information. And we'd love to really keep engaged with you as you implement these rollouts in the next, are you within 60 to 90 days or more about the 120?
Whatever works for you. We're about to rock and roll over here. So, we can keep the lines of communication open, and certainly if there's any questions that you have, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to do additional calls or speak to anybody who would like to, have a better understanding, or even I'll also share this deck with you as well. So in case you want to share it around internally, I can do that. And just let me know what it is that you might be thinking, and I'll let you know how everything's going on our end. And it'd be great to work together. We'd love it. So
I think if there's a similar like town in Connecticut to the size of Coventry that you're going to be implementing, I think within the next 30 to 120 days, maybe you could give us an update at that 60th day of implementation with them. So if you can share the information. So like, if there's Oxford, Connecticut should be going live, which might be similar demographic. Well, maybe not, but just picking a town, maybe you could just back to us in 60 days after rollout and try to give us some ideas or updates. And that would be great, is what I rather meant.
Sure.
I don't know where we are in our thoughts of this implement, but we'd like to just be more engaged with you about 60 days out of a like size implementation in Connecticut. That would be great. And maybe even speak to those town officials that are organizing this. Maybe we can get together with them and understand what their, best practices are too. If you can do that, that'd be great.
For sure. Like, as we're kind of in the clear, we want to obviously make sure that all parties are comfortable and that kind of thing, and that it's actually doing enough activity at the very beginning to be worthwhile to share. If it's not, we'll just tell you, but if it is, then we can move forward and activate that plan.
Okay. Thank you. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chairperson Bernarda, maybe we can each express a few thoughts on what we just saw.
Please, absolutely.
So, so it sounds like to implement something like this, the only fee involved initially is on the person buying the card, which is like almost any gift card, right?
Of course.
I was just going to say any service,
Yeah.
anything you do, you have to pay some type of fee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Of course.
So most likely on the town, we'd need some coordination. So we'd need someone who would be willing, from Ben's side, he'd have to tell us who might be appropriate to be the contact person so that they could work with this company to, based on our recommendations to provide the city limits and this, whatever type of information is needed, and then market it in some way. And so, it's more of kind of like a headcount cost of somebody who would have to prioritize this over something else. But it's not really like we don't have to go to the council and say, I need $20,000 for this or something like that.
Correct.
So one thing we might consider is, and just as a heads up, so we're in the budget period right now. So this is extremely busy for finance, for Mr. Marchant, for all the directors. And then hopefully what will happen is we'll have our budget vote, we'll get it passed. I have faith on the first time. And then that kind of opens the doors to these types of opportunities.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if there's that gives us a little bit of time maybe to talk about how we might see something like this implemented, and then some breathing room for them to get through the budget process. So maybe we can make a recommendation that we'd like to talk with Ben about getting someone possibly to look at this after that budget cycle. So maybe we meet in, July or August or September, one of those months,
Mhm.
and figure out what would a campaign or advertisement look like. So just in terms of timing, like I know you were talking about the 60-day thing, but I think if there's really, it doesn't sound like there's necessarily a downside other than making sure people know about the program.
Mhm.
So if we think it's something that we want to push, we just need to make sure that it's prioritized with Manager Marchant and the staff.
Generating that interest is the key, and how you reach everybody in the local level without having to spend an advertising on TV. Well, it's about our town, but you're spending a big budget on it.
yeah, I think asking for
Yeah.
some of those, he mentioned that we would be entitled to some of that stuff free, right? Some collateral of some sort. So it'd be interesting to see what that looks like
Mhm.
as well during this time.
Also, we're going to talk in a little bit. We're not quite there on the budget yet, but we're going to talk about possibly asking for a budget for next year. And so that's something that we could continue a discussion on, such as, ways that people reach the local community here, such as a reminder ad, front page reminder might be $200 or $300. If we wanted to ask the council and say, hey, these are the things that we want for next year, we could put this in as an advertisement to say, could we budget for this for next year? And we'll work with Manager Marchant to get this implemented in the fall.
Mhm.
Something like that. So just something to put on your minds about what we could ask for budget for to help with a program like this.
I also see something like this great where, I get contacted as a business owner from a lot of friends and family who they have let's assume that there's someone that they know that's moved to Coventry and they want to buy a local gift card for them so that they can come and, look at a new business. Cody, not to include you on this, but like I see this being right on, my best friend and wife moved to Coventry, Rhode Island, and then like the town page comes up. There's a link there where someone could actually buy a gift card to support a local business to get them engaged with. I'm having people that are moving into town all the time, coming in for the first time. Oh, this is a great business, and they try to, and with the COVID component too, right? Everyone tried to reinvest in gift cards for businesses locally to support. And I think people are really kind of onto something with that. But if we were to include something on the town website where, do you know someone that's moved to Coventry, support local business by offering them a gift card or something? I kind of see that playing into this really, really great too.
That pairing with that thought, like the people do move in, the new people into the town, seeing they come in and just sending something right out to them.
Yeah, right.
To get that. It's just as a welcome to town.
Yes.
How to get integrated and supported.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea if we can also include it in that. I think it might give people more faith in the program, where if they just, we're thinking about buying a gift for someone and this, secondary website page comes up through them that's linking them back to Coventry. Where if it appears on the, on the town page, I think it may give people better credibility that they're buying something. They have more buying confidence if I'm using the right terminology here.
Especially if we had a .gov.
But no, well, I feel like, with maybe some older folks, because I do get calls in personally where people looking to give their credit card number to me because their son and daughter moved into town and, they want to give a welcome gift or something. And they've researched the business to make sure that, and they ask if it's okay to do over the phone, so there's, people do have safety concerns about giving their credit card information to just anyone. So if it's, filed appropriately on the page, I think it would give people confidence that this is a.
You mentioned you had embedded rules.
Yeah. Right. Right. It'd be great with the marketing components, sending them to the town page, gets them engaged with not only that, but a lot of the other stuff too. And it kind of brings people always back to that. And then they see something and they can make a purchase and it supports everything.
One thing I was thinking of in terms of your comments around, they're new, they're going live soon. Sounds like they have 12 people on the docket for this year. There's always kind of that timing issue, right? Because it has to work for us and for them. You don't want to be the first, but then you don't want to be behind the next 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like this would be worth something, maybe continuing on next month's agenda. And we get some time with Ben to kind of figure out, does it sound appropriate for us to look for this type of item, in the, September timeframe once we're through budget and summer. Do we think we'll have availability for someone to help work on this? Just flesh our ideas out.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, this may be something that we consider later in today's discussion for budget items. So we need to get that approved before we even consider that for next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna second what you said about being first. That's one of the concerns that I have right off the bat. It's kind of tough being the first. You don't really know. You got to see how it's going to play out. I'm sure they do their homework and they know their market, but that would be one of my concerns. And then there's got to be some infrastructure to support this. This, it's a pretty wide-reaching program, so we have to really identify that infrastructure, what it's going to be, and what the costs are going to be associated with it, because that's going to feed into it, and then the marketing of it, of course. I think it's a great idea. It's going to help citizens and businesses, and I would probably be more in support of not kind of including local businesses and not so much the Walmart, Stop and Shop, Home Depot. I'm grateful for their business here and their patronage to our town. But I think those small, they have access to funds that, these other businesses in town, like OSA, for example, doesn't have access to. So, having specific, small businesses in town.
Local printer, your Ace Hardware versus the Home Depot.
Right, exactly. Because you can go to Home Depot and Walmart in any town. Let's draw these people to a business that's specific to Coventry that would have them come back a second time because they really didn't know that it existed. So,
That's right.
Can Can you clarify your point around the additional costs to consider?
Yeah. So like if we're going to market it, are we paying for advertising online? Are we doing, like promotional Facebook advertising on our pages to gain get access to a certain group of people? Are we, do we have to build anything extra into the new website to build like an advertisement page? Is that going to be a cost that we have to endure? Is there somebody that's going to have to take some time if we're doing a match program? What would be the type of program that we do? Is somebody going to have to actually sift through applications and spend some time doing that because there's a cost there? So just basically, what type of program are we going to use to implement this, and what's it going to cost us to do it?
And because we don't know the answers to that, let's take our best guess tonight, because we have got to get a request in if we're going to do a request to the council to put budget for next year for this commission.
Okay.
If we are the first, we should get a good discount.
I agree.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, if we do go live prior to any other city or town, we should.
I almost think timing wise too, I understand the wait until after budget, but I think that we should try to consider too having it ready to go for immediately after the budget process, because we've got to give ourselves a month or two for kind of working some of the kinks out, and then you're getting into the holiday season. So you want to make sure that you're ready for that, because
buying season.
I can see giving out gift cards like that to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
The mailman, everybody that you,
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
right.
Right.
rather than doing the typical Amazon gift card like I do now, like I'd rather do
Or a
that.
generic Amex or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I kind of go back to that settlement account, and if the town did do that matching program of 25 and 25, and someone spends a certain amount, is the town entitled to claim half that money back if that card's.
I see what you're saying.
Is there? I just still
To your
curious
point of
about
the open
how long
redemption,
does
right?
How long does that hold for? I don't know what our state laws.
I see what you're saying. So if
I think
somebody,
Rhode Island joined Massachusetts to never expire, and the cancellation of the annual maintenance fee, which were usually about $5 a year. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah,
That's right.
I think that we joined the Massachusetts law
These
piece.
accounts just sits there.
They do, sadly.
yeah. So if we're putting money out there, matching it, and it could just end up in a lost hole somewhere, right?
I think the percentage of that's probably low, but
Yeah.
I don't
No,
necessarily
probably, yeah.
see the need for the town to have to match anything. I think that this
I
can
don't
bring
either.
enough benefit
Right.
without that need.
I agree.
if
We gotta be a
but
tough
let's say
sell
that
to take our tax dollars and then turn around and give it to people
Right.
just for this program. So we probably have to think about the optics on something like that. Maybe as a kickoff or a starter to
The first 50
Just
cards.
first 50 cards of this program. This
Or
just as an incentive.
we ever down the road, as the EDC did a large townwide, gathering or incentive, or a get to, if we raise funds,
Mhm.
we could always put it back into this. Like, this would be a great way to then put it back into local economy.
Mhm.
If we did some type of fair, or EDC, or what you were talking about, and part of what we're going to discuss later, if there's any ticket sales, that could go back into something like this, where it's it's matched, even if it's $5 or something.
The town doesn't have a list of everybody's phone numbers or emails or something like that. Or is it
Code red. That's about it, really.
an effort to try to have people registered to a database in the town so we can collect as much as possible and just promote that?
I think we have a better chance of him using his MasterCard merchant ID service and getting through. Yes.
Push message.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So just, as you and I would have our merchant ID set up, they're going to be able to send something to us either via mail and or account holder email.
Okay, but not to the consumer.
No.
The potential card buying person.
No.
Are we
So-
looking to just make up a number, come up with a best estimate now for budget, or do you want to wait until we get to the budget section? Is there a budget section? Okay.
Yeah. Let's wait for, maybe we think on it a little bit, and then, because I know it's almost 7:30 and we have the CGI Digital
Yeah.
Community Showcase. But yeah, let's talk at the budget session. I can give you an idea of what some of the other commissions are asking for.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Perfect. Oh boy.
I'm just really tough. I didn't hear from them directly. So did Ben?
Is that
say-
the one Ben said he sent it like a month ago and he hadn't heard back?
Okay,
It is
so-
them. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we haven't heard back, maybe we assume since they're not on right now.
Is there a way we can get a town local television station going, where
I was just trying to think of a way to promote the town itself and businesses and get the word out faster on local community access television, that type. And I don't know that we have a way of doing that in this town. I know some towns have that. They have their own individual town TV. And just as a way to try to promote these programs can go.
We can do things like press releases. We do have relationships with local reporters.
The radio station?
Yeah, radio station.
Mhm.
So I think there's some ways that we could do it that we'd probably need some EDC help here to promote. And then some could also come from the town itself.
Yeah, our best bet with something like that, 10 years ago, it would have been like, let's go to Cox Communications and grab something with them because they were the main service provider. But now there's Fubo, there's Sling, there's YouTube TV. So the one thing that all of those have in common is the local news stations. They all stream the local news stations. So your best bet really to get a lot of reach instantly across all of those platforms is local news. That's one of the reasons why we use that at the Pond Association quite a bit. It is, you go that way. So that goes across the board. That'd be the best way. And it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. So.
Okay. Just looking through the agenda on new business, we're going to currently parking lot, our CGI digital community showcase. And we're going to move forward to section C, and that would be the discussion of the presentation of the EDC to the town council, which would be scheduled on the 28th of this month, correct?
Yeah, and I know there's a question about approximately what time. We usually don't finalize that until just a few days before, but most likely what will happen is most of the Monday sessions have started at 7 p.m. And we're trying to get anything where we're asking people to come in or recognize or groups like this in the first part of the session. So it'd most likely be before 8 p.m. But as soon as I find out that information, I can also either myself or Ben can forward that along. And we did a lot for up to 30 minutes for whatever we want to use the time for.
Okay. For the four of us that are here now, is the 28th a good time for us to be present, or is that?
I'm available.
I'm going to be out of the country on the 28th.
Okay. Just like, is that?
Two Mondays. And also, we should still have Zoom available. So
If you're on vacation.
it would be great if at least one.
I'll zoom in. I'll zoom in.
Yeah, if at least one person could come in person, it would be, set up literally like we are right now. But
Yeah, I mean, respectfully, please enjoy your vacation.
Yeah.
but
No, I'll gladly
the three
zoom
of
in.
us are available, Doug, Aaron, you and I, just to be here, just to sort of, introduce. And we haven't, heard from Tim. I mentioned Tim is usually available on town council nights, so that could possibly be four of us. But it would just be very nice to, as we introduce the group officially for the first time, that there's more than half of us here. So that would be awesome. Okay, great.
While we're going through this, do you want to talk about the plan for that night, or is that something?
Yes.
so we only got time to get one copy of this deck. I don't think anyone's watching us right now, but this is the same deck that we reviewed. I think it was Aaron
Mhm.
introduced
Yeah,
to
we
us.
a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, a month or two ago,
Yeah.
the last time we met.
Mhm.
So Craig, maybe you can describe it for us.
Sure. So the first three slides, including page one, is just the overview. We go into our agenda on page two. Page or slide three, meet the committee. This is where I would just like to, and I don't mind facilitating the entire presentation, but it would just be great as we go through some of the members that if each of you could just identify who you are and maybe a brief reason as to why you've opted to become part of the EDC, beyond obviously your personal interest. That, proprietor, et cetera, owner of commercial real estate. And I think it would just give some credibility to who we are and why we've opted to volunteer our time to do what we're doing to drive the economic development of the town. Right. I was going to take over and read through slide 4, which is the request of an RFP. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you're going to do slide 4, which I think you should, I can take the initial kickoff and everybody. That way it's not just you.
Yes. No, that would be great. Can we share?
Yeah.
And Doug, if you wanted to join in here too, I mean, if there's a component to anything, do you want to do the initial introduction?
It's up to you.
Yeah. No, we can.
Yeah.
Would love to. Yeah.
So you can do the
I'm going to count myself out of this part because I think I'll give more
right.
credibility here if I'm listening. Do you want to sit over here to see the?
If you guys want to present this.
Oh yeah.
So the first slide Craig will do is the introduction to the RFP and why we think that's important for the consultant. The next slide you'll do, I think, branches off of that.
Would you and Tim potentially want to take this slide together? Here, I'm going to share that with you. It's a very deep analysis in which you'll have to use chemistry and geometry to go through. But
Is this radioactive? Is that the sign radioactive? It has to be changed.
we might want to change that
Is
in
it?
the spirit of what's happening
Yeah.
with Chernobyl.
Is that the sign?
No,
No, it's not. I don't think
I
so.
think it's recycling. All right.
No, it's not. It's,
Well, I can tell you if it is. I had to go to a lot of classes about
Did you
that.
see this?
I'm going to look up and Google the radio.
It looks like a triangle this way
Yeah.
and then this way and
This
then
is very
down.
COVID-like here too.
It's very
No,
common.
yeah.
Like,
It's people.
I know.
and it's green
You
like
know what?
What's that? What's that?
He's like, I gotta do this one.
He's not going to do that.
I'm not doing this what he says.
He's already read.
It doesn't feel like
Yeah, that's not it.
This is the radioactive symbol.
Well, that just is minus the triangle outline.
It is not. It's 3 circles. All right.
Oh man.
Let me see your PowerPoint skills.
Can you just refresh us? Okay, so you do the intro,
Mhm.
open the agenda, you'll introduce people.
And I'll have my own speaking points prior, which is just, the reasons of which this was put together, your effort working with the town manager to put this forward.
Don't
Okay, don't do that.
She's just here.
Well, no. I want to give you some credibility on this too.
She doesn't want it.
And how you drove it initially. Okay.
No.
Okay. Excellent.
She's not going to admit she knows us.
I have to vote for this stuff, so
Oh, gotcha.
it's better to
Keep
see
you up.
there's 4 or 5 other people here that are asking for this, and I can say, great job, guys. I agree with you. I vote yes.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. I understand.
Can I just
Please.
I just want to ask a question about the
The radioactive.
recommendations. I thought the recommendations would come after you go over like
This,
that and the community initiative. It's almost like now that we've told you what we're thinking about, this is our ask to the council.
Yeah. So can I see that? I think so. What we did was on here, because it outlines 1 and 1B a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then we high level start with, there's an ask for $10,000, which we'll get into. We also request some town enhancements to the website. I'll
And
take
then-
that. And then I thought there was another slide
No.
that went over a reminder. If not, then
I
yes,
think we
this should
deleted
be
that one initially.
first. Oh, we deleted it?
Yeah.
So then I agree.
Community initiative came here
Right.
to discuss more of this here.
Yep.
So this is, should we eliminate? Sorry,
What?
Jen, thank you. Should we eliminate one this here and kind of bring it onto this? So this is sort of an overview,
Yeah.
right, of why we need to do it. And we're giving 3 different examples here. Maybe we shouldn't call out 1 and 1B here and just sort of leave it. So this sort of identifies who we are and what we're looking to do. And then very specifically what we're asking for.
Okay. So I would
maybe we
say,
just eliminate this here,
yep. So remove,
but keep it there.
and then we're going to combine these.
And maybe Doug could just talk about 3.
He's
which
not
is
talking about
website
his name.
or
So we'll combine these here.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll remove them from that.
maybe let's just keep it 1, 2, 3.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll combine
yeah.
them and it'll just be one.
So there are, you need to make very specific requests to
I'm
the
gonna
council.
just ask about money.
So firstly, you want to tell them, what is the opportunity? Why do we want to do this? And now what do I need from the council? So number one, we want to go out for the RFP.
Yep.
And we think it will probably, we don't know exactly because we haven't done it yet, but we're asking you to go out for this to have the town manager go out for the RFP. And we'd like to ask for the council to consider putting, I don't know, $20,000 aside so that the town can complete this initiative in the 2021-2022. Then I think the other initiative is that $10,000 one, the initiatives in town. We'd like to ask for, and then separately, we'd like to ask for an EDC specific budget of $10,000. And we'll give you an idea of 5 of the things that are going to go into that budget. And it's going to be, I think you need to mention the credit card thing from tonight to get people excited about that program and say, we would like to use $1,000 for advertising the upcoming credit card program, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about it for 1 minute. A community event.
So should we remove the town website piece?
No, so
Because I feel like we've had the ability to make some of those updates. And
the
we don't
town
have,
website stinks, right? I think we all agree that. Let's just keep saying it over and over and over so that everybody remembers we need a new website. It's something that we're looking at in the budget. I think Ben has suggested a $40,000 allotment for an entirely new budget, entirely new website, and some services on the back end that come with it. So
Should we say something like, with the enhancements in store, we'd like to also add in a credit card incentive program that would link into the new revised?
so I'm thinking
Maybe not us discuss if he already has that going forward.
don't get too far into the how you're going to do this.
Okay.
Just say, we'd like to ask for the $10,000 budget for the EDC ourselves. That would go towards, and then give 5 examples of what that would go towards.
Okay.
Because I guarantee you're not going to get 10, you're going to get 5.
Okay.
Or
That's why
I'm going to
thought
fight for you. to get 5.
75,000 for the RFP, because I
If they come back at 75,000, I think we're all going to be like, what? So-
all right. So
No, no.
20. So
No.
just,
I don't think you can get a consulting company. I'm thinking 75, and then maybe that we get 50. What do you think?
everything's a negotiation. So
Yeah.
so let's do 75.
yeah,
Because
say
at
this,
point,
this
we're
is
really
what
gonna have to
this is
ask
what we
people.
think it could be. Could you set aside some of this money in the budget? And then realistically, I'm probably gonna do my own research and see how much something like this would cost. And I'm gonna say no to your 75, but I'll help advocate for 25,000, something like that.
So I'm almost thinking,
Didn't the town plan cost into the hundreds of thousands? That master plan thing that no one's done anymore
Which
a
master?
number of years ago.
Strategic
There-
plan.
A strategic plan
So
that
the-
went into
the
the
com-
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The comprehensive plan, it's being done right now. We hired a new consulting group.
Okay.
So it's going to be done soup to nuts. It's about a 2-year time period. So they've just started.
Okay.
And
is
that we
there
have
any-
to do.
Is there any budget idea for that, or
When you say a budget idea for that.
no? Was there any monies allocated? Have they?
Yeah, we have to pay. Yeah, we have to pay the consulting group along the way to actually
Okay.
perform it.
So hourly or quarterly or just ask,
estimated
yeah. Like, what's the estimated cost on that?
Oh,
$500,000?
I'm so sorry. I can't remember.
I'm thinking at
Um,
least $250,000 or more or something like that.
I think it was around the 200K mark, but now I can't remember. We can find that number though.
Okay.
Um,
No, just for, I mean, to ask what we're looking to do.
But that's a 2-year initiative. I think we're looking for an
a quick one.
individual
Yeah.
point in time
Okay.
analysis.
Okay.
And possible marketing material.
So I think, so you'll do that slide, which will be first. Then I'll follow up with this slide. And then we'll have this, which will do combine these into one. We'll have the family friendly activities. And then I'm thinking we should put the credit card thing in here
Correct.
and then put down below another box where we're outlining the website needs and then just making this the 10,000 ask.
Perfect.
Anything that you can do to say about the website, like this group actually went out and looked at other EDC sites on different government or different cities around us
Which is true.
And
Yeah,
it was
which is
it
what
was
we're trying to do.
disturbing how
Yeah.
subpar ours is.
Okay.
Excellent.
So do you want to do the recommendations slide? Do you want to cover that for,
Yeah, unless you rework that.
okay. This is where you're asking for the money. So if you
Yes, sir.
can't sell this,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. And I also think too that maybe we should throw in, and you and I can work offline on this, but I think we need to discuss more about the principles of EDC here. And then maybe some of this needs to just go into something like, I think that
So-
this statement here needs to fold into one. So I think we need to really elaborate more of that. And I don't mind doing that either, but I think we really have to sort of discuss this, like the EDC functionality. And then these two components need to be subnotes
I
to
don't think,
this,
to
which I
me,
don't mind going
that
over
doesn't,
either.
I don't
No?
see why what we do has any impact on that, on our ask of why we need an RFP.
Okay.
That's
Or-
just my opinion.
Or should this just be buried into this though? I think these notes should just go into here. And
Those
I
notes
just
should go up.
discussed this, but I think this slide could either be removed. Like we have this slide and then these two vital components sort of explain this.
This
here.
is just a recap though. This is our ask. You're going to need something. Some people absorb. So the way I focus, I guess, is people absorb information different ways.
Mhm.
Some people are going to hear you. Some people are only going to read, and some people are only going to look at the pictures.
Mhm.
And it's really based off the audience and how they absorb information.
Okay.
So I would be careful about just removing it and only having it here, because I think your point might get lost.
Then should we have a
Because
slide
people are
like
only
this
going to
for
be
this and
focused. Yes, so we
this? We
do.
probably do. Okay. Perfect.
So we have the family-friendly initiatives, which is here.
Okay.
And
And then
then
we'll
we're
do
going
the
to have the
third
credit
slide.
card.
Perfect.
We're going to get
Okay.
the slides on the credit
Gotcha,
card. I'm going to
gotcha.
add that in here.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
then,
So what are you asking Dr. Doug here to do? So are you, the
We
two
haven't
of,
imposed on him yet.
okay, so are the two of you going to work
We have-
this out offline
Yes.
and then send
are.
it?
And we're going to.
Or actually send it to Ben and
We'll send it
Ben
to Ben.
can send
Yep.
it over.
We're missing a slide content that we feel that we have to create
Okay,
for something. And then based on the feedback tonight, we want to abridge it and be more specific
yeah,
about the request need
okay.
so
and the amount. So thank you.
Yeah.
Ben, they're going to be sending the credit card slide deck over.
Okay.
We need some of those slides to finalize the presentation. So once you get that, if you can forward, we'll
Thank you. Sir.
create something. And
Yep. Easy. Your job is done. Thank you.
So I
Yes.
think we kind of did a twofer
We did.
Mhm.
on this agenda.
We did.
can I steal all this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I did have a request, Chairperson Bernardo, about a new business item to get onto our next agenda since it wasn't listed here, about doing a survey for local businesses. So that we don't have to discuss this. I'll just tell you what the general idea is for next time. Putting together some sort of survey that we do, where we ask local businesses, very similar to how we did the ARPA survey, list of, 7 or 8 questions, just so we can start identifying what are some of the either issues or things that people think we should be able to change. Since we took a stab at it as a group a couple months ago, and it was hard for us to come up with concrete ideas.
Mhm.
So let's go out and actually ask businesses to help us, and that may give us a better starting point to identify either which ordinances are causing a problem or what process here needs to get updated.
How will we distribute said survey?
Like online. So I don't know if anyone completed the ARPA survey that we did a month or 2 ago. We just put a link in the actual town website. And there was a link on the top that's like in red that said, hey, complete the ARPA survey. We can send it out on the town Facebook page, maybe some of our pages, the counselor pages. Also, I do have commitment from one of the counselors and myself to do a little bit of door knocking on some of our local businesses to specifically ask if they could give us this
Engage.
feedback. Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
So
That's awesome.
if we can put that on the agenda for next time and go through some questions.
You had shared with me a draft of some questions. Would you like me to put that out to the group?
Yeah, that would be great. So if we can add that. think I had one more and now I can't remember. But if we can add that one, we can at least have a way that we're asking what the problems are so we can identify it, since we
address.
we didn't come up with a lot earlier for our specifics for us to follow up on.
Okay, very good. Okay, is there any public comment, Cody? Is there anyone live for public comment? Excellent, thank you, sir. Do you have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Motion, and a vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll conclude.
Thank you.
Thank you.